Hello friends, I am Dr. Subhrojyoti Bhowmick and today I am here to speak about a very important topic, which is how you are going to utilize the time which you have with your doctors, especially when you get less time in the doctor's chamber, and how you are going to convince them with whatever evidence you have got, with specifics I would say for a product like MaxiFlow. This is one of your very important products which you have in your basket, and this is today's world is about evidence-based medicine. Now, if you ask what is evidence-based medicine, it is the most important way of prescribing medicine, practicing medicine, depending on what evidences you have regarding the efficacy and safety of molecules. If you look at your basket, you have MaxiFlow, and if you look at the literature which has been given for MaxiFlow, you have to utilize whatever studies have been given in the best possible manner so that you can convince the doctor, and convince the doctor not only for short term but for long term purpose. I'll just go, there are few studies which I had gone through, which your product management team had shared with me, and I will start with a few things which you need to understand. Is that you need to know specific terminologies absolutely through and through to understand yourself and then convince your doctor that yes, this is the most important data which is available in hand, and as a result of which you should prescribe my molecule. I will start with, there is this head-on study which you have regarding your molecule is formoterol and fluticasone, as you know, and it has been compared with the other inhaled corticosteroids and the LABAs which are present in the market. Everywhere you will find that people are using probably salmeterol and people are using formoterol, and formoterol also not with fluticasone but then formoterol with budesonide combination. And you might have prescribers who might be using salmeterol, they might be using it with fluticasone. So the greatest challenge is how do you convert these kind of prescribers to your side. And then comes the solution which is provided by the product management team of your company, is that you look at the literature, and the study which has been given to me is an excellent study which was presented in the ERS. For all of you who are not aware of what ERS is a European Respiratory Society conference. This was presented way back in 2010, and this is a very prestigious conference which is attended by chest physicians all across the globe, especially European physicians, and of course a lot of Indian physicians also go there. So if you're talking to a customer who's a chest physician, and if you are talking to a consultant physician, you must always cite, you should begin with where this paper has been presented. So you start saying that this is a study, sir. I know that you prescribe formoterol budesonide or you prescribe salmeterol budesonide, but sir, we are going to, just give me 2 minutes time, I'm just going to describe a study which was presented in the ERS 2010, and this was a double-blind study, and this is a randomized controlled trial. Many of you are aware what is randomized controlled trial, but for others who don't know it, just to tell you what is randomized controlled trial, it's a systematic study in human beings. So what are the different levels of evidence if you see? Today, if formoterol and fluticasone is used by one or two of your consultants and chest physicians, and they say that it is a very good molecule, and they give you a report that yes, in moderate to severe asthma I see improvement, then it becomes a case study. When it is done in larger number of cases, probably in hundreds or probably in 50 or 100 number of patients, then it becomes a case series. So as you grow up the ladder, first comes case study, then which is in 1 or 2 patients, then becomes case series, and finally you have observational studies. So where you just observe the patients. And at the top of the ladder, in terms of the best supreme evidence, comes the randomized controlled trial, where you conduct the study with certain objectives in mind. So if you look at the ERS paper, it had certain objectives in mind. What were the objectives? They wanted to see among the three used inhaled corticosteroids and LABA combination, which has got the best action in moderate to severe asthma patients. So these were specific objectives. They were close to 117 patients. So you tell the doctor that's a double-blind randomized control trial. So randomized control trial means it's a systematic trial. It's not done in a haphazard manner. So it's a systematic trial in double-blind. Now this is something which is also very important. You have to press upon that this is a double-blind study. What is a double-blind study? A double-blind study is a study where the doctor also doesn't know what he is prescribing and the patient also doesn't know what he is getting. What is the advantage of this study? The advantage of this study is that, it takes care of bias. See, I am a chest physician who is indebted to Glaxo because Glaxo actually takes me for a lot of conferences. So, if I have to give a report to Glaxo, I am biased to give a good report to Glaxo if I know what molecule that company is producing, or it could be Cipla as well. So to take care of these biases where you have certain prefixed idea that yes, salmeterol budesonide combination is the best, you mask. That means nobody will come to know which drug is present in which meter dose inhaler. So you mask it. They all look similar so that the doctor never comes to know which drug is present where, and the patient also doesn't know. So if the bias is taken care of, the immediate advantage is that you get concrete results. So my only take-home message here is that if you get a product management input which is about a double-blind study, then you must emphasize that it is a double-blind study which is being given to us, and this has to be shared with the doctor. About the double-blinds, about the randomized control trial, there is one other study which is the systematic review or meta-analysis. What is systematic review or meta-analysis? This is nothing but it is the conclusion of at least 5 to 10 clinical trials. So you can understand that clinical trials itself are done in such a systematic way. If you take a conclusion of 10 clinical trials, you get a conclusion, so it will be a concrete conclusion. So if a product management team sends you a meta-analysis and you just have 1 minute time to talk to the customer, you should speak regarding the meta-analysis. And then you should speak about a double-blind study. Then you should speak about a single-blind study. What is a single-blind study? Single-blind study is where the doctor knows what is being given and the patient does not know what is being given. And finally comes open label. Many of your studies you will find open label study. Open label means everybody knows everything. Doctor also knows what is being given and patient also knows what is being given. As I told you in the beginning of my presentation that the double blind in comparison to open label will be devoid of bias. Open label, there is always a bias that I might put. I know that this patient has a severe asthma and I know that I have to give a good report, so I will put it in a test drug. So coming back to the study which is being given, if you have product management input which is a meta-analysis, always speak on a meta-analysis. If there is a meta-analysis of inhaled corticosteroid, meta-analysis of inhaled of the LABAs, then you talk about that. And if you don't have that, then you have to talk about the study which is the double-blind study. Always remember this because the doctors, they can also learn from you. The double-blind studies are devoid of any kind of biases. So what do we see in this study? We see that the molecule which is your molecule is absolutely superior, whether it is in terms of in reducing in increasing the FeV1 level. And another thing which is there on your LBLs or maybe on your visual aids is the p-value. Now many a times you will see that it is written p less than 0.001. What is the meaning of this? You will find bars, you have found bars which are saying that the bar with the, say for example, the bar with formoterol, fluticasone is the highest bar and in comparison to this, the salmeterol bar is a little smaller one, and in comparison to this, the formoterol bar is the least one. And when you compare this, then you have the input saying that p-value is less than 0.00, This means that the result which has come here is statistically significant. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that if this test is done 100 times in 100 different centers in the world, by 100 different chest physicians, by 100 different consultant physicians, this same results will come in 99% of the time. Only in 1% of the time the result will not come. So this is not a result by chance. This is a result which has come on a concrete basis. It's a reliable result. Please emphasize on these things also, that sir, the result, this difference, you can have lot of difference. There are a lot of products in the market which say that there is a reduction in the FEV1, but that is not statistically significant. So if you are looking at the competitor data, just see whether the competitor data is statistically significant or not. This is something which you must learn as a pharmaceutical product personnel. So we see that whether it is FEV1 or it is PEFER, we all know what is PEFER, peak expiratory flow rate, your molecule is the best. And your molecule being the best is that these results are all statistically significant results. And this has to be emphasized. Let me tell you, many of the companies fail to emphasize on this, that this result is statistic. You have to generate interest in the doctor to read the paper. That this is a double-blind study. It is the results are statistically significant. How was the double-blind made? You should make him interested on that. And in terms of safety, another thing is also you must also emphasize on safety. So one is efficacy of your molecule. You must emphasize that this is a highly efficacious molecule in comparison to other competitors which are present in the market currently. And other thing which you must also consider for doctors to prescribe is safety. You please talk about how safe the molecule is with respect to the other molecule combination, whether this molecule is causing any kind of adverse effects or not, what is known in the paper. So just conclude with that. I'm sure if a doctor is not being listening to you, at least by listening to these few things which are scientifically sound, and if you know the meaning of these scientific terminologies, your body language become more confident. You can look into the eyes of the doctor and communicate. If you don't know these terminologies, then it is difficult for you to communicate. So this is the paper in the ERS. Now everybody talks about, that I talk about the ERS study. The doctors will say that is a European data. We don't believe in European data. We Indians are 1.2 billion people. We are 1/6 of the world population. Do you have any Indian data? So you always look at, whenever the product management team sends an input, first and foremost thing, as I told you, first is look at what is the level of evidence. Is it a meta-analysis? Is it a randomized control trial? Is it an observational study? Is it a case series? Is it a case or is it just a case record? If once you have found that, if you find Indian studies, you must pick those studies up first. You must speak to the local customer regarding the local study. Do you have a local study on MaxiFlow? The answer is yes. So if given an opportunity to present only one study for 2 minutes in the doctor's chamber, I will speak for the Indian study. This is something we must take into mind, because we can extrapolate. Every doctor is trying to extrapolate whatever they can know from the Indian population. They want to, because they are treating the Indian population as well. So if you look at the Indian study, it's a huge population, 230 plus patients, 232 to be precise, more than the 117 patients in the paper which was published in ERS. Moderate to severe persistent asthma. This is also a double-blind study. That means the doctor did not know what the drug was given. The patient did not know what the drug was being given. It's a prospective study. What do you mean by prospective study? That means it's a forward-looking study. You start at 0 months, then you analyze then you put the patient on run-in period, and for 2 weeks, then you analyze the patient at 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, and so on and so forth. So it's a prospective looking study, and prospective looking studies are better because they are better designed rather than retrospective studies. So there is another take home message. If you have inputs regarding whether there is a prospective study input which is given and a retrospective input which is given from the product management team, make sure that you pick up the prospective study because they are better designed studies and they are better accepted by the customer. And this is a multi-centric study. Again, a take-home message: if I have only one center where the study is done, vis-a-vis I have a study which is a multi-centric study, I will pick up a multi-centric study because the customer is can be one of those multi-center. If I have a study which is done only in 3 centers in Maharashtra, vis-a-vis 3 centers in Bengal, vis-a-vis 3 centers across India, I have to give an option to the 3 centers in different parts of the country because the patient population varies according to geographical location, and this is an important part in patient management protocol. You must keep this in mind. The ERS study was 3-group study. The Indian study is a 2-group study. You had Maxiflow on one arm and you have the budesonide and the formoterol on the other arm. So again, if you look at, you will have these visual aids and you will have the LVLs, that you have the big bars which talk about the improvement in PEFER. But again, you should be very clear on what is statistically significant. P-value is the probability value. P stands for probability value. What is the probability? The probability of getting the result is by chance is less than 0.01%, is less than 1%. If I say that p-value is less than 0.01%, that means if I do the test 100 times, this result will come by chance only in 1 time. So this is a highly concrete, accurate, reliable study which can be again tested. So you can urge your doctor to test on its patients. That, sir, can you test this on your patient depending on the reliability of this particular results. So this is a very important information which is coming out. You must take into care. You talk about FEV1 to your customers, you will talk about the FP, this PEFER, but you should also talk about the rescue medication. This is something which is not spoken by the reps when they come and meet them. Rescue medication is something which helps. Suppose the patient is on trial on 2 medication, budesonide on one arm and formoterol budesonide and salmeterol budesonide. Apart from, if they are not properly controlled, then something else is added. Oral steroids are added. Say for example, if the condition deteriorates. So this speaks about how effective the treatment is. If my treatment is very effective, then it will be controlled by 2 drugs. Say for example, fluticasone and formoterol. If my treatment is not effective, then rescue is added. You have to rescue the patient. So if in a study, if you come across that rescue medications are larger in one group, that means that group is not an efficacious group. That arm does not have an efficacious drug. This is a take home for you. This you must learn. So another thing I would say, that in this today's world, you have to also emphasize on safety, and your USP is safety. You belong to Cipla, you should be proud of it. Your molecules, you are the #1 brand leader in case of respiratory, and you must emphasize that there can be a lot of brands in the market which might also have formoterol and fluticasone in it, but ours is quality tested, time tested product, and we are highly safe because we have data of so many patients. If somebody is using some other brand, you need to convert them saying that we are time tested product, we are quality tested product, and as a result of which this has to be, even if you are prescribing formoterol, fluticasone, please prescribe our molecule which is Maxiflow, because safety of these molecules is of primary importance. Fluticasone, as you know, is a steroid molecule. if I have lot of inhaled steroid, I can suffer from oral candidiasis. So that is something which is very, very important. So if I have some other molecules, some molecules which are not according to the safety standards or quality standards, it can result in problem in the patient. So this is, I would say, the crux when you talk to your customers, and be confident that you know the few terminologies which are going to be used. The another thing and the last thing I would say is that the overall impression should be, if you're not aware of certain things, please be frank about it and tell that, yes sir, I don't know this. I might get you the data again when I come back on your next visit, and there is nothing wrong in doing it. Then you can always, because there could be a lot of clarifications coming in, and you regarding the paper which you have submitted, or maybe from the visual aid also which you are showing. If you don't know, there is always a scope to learn from your product management team. Go back to them, ask them, and come back, because doctors really appreciate those people who come back to them with queries and the answers, and always be receptive to the queries which the doctors raise on the field. And you must escalate these queries. There is no point answering them then and there. You must escalate these queries to your reporting lines, and if required to the medical information department in your respective organization, and get them back with that respective query. I think with this you should be able to at least utilize, I know you have very less time in the doctor's chamber, but then with these few inputs, you should be able to adequately utilize what an effective